When a client enters addiction treatment, they are protected by a strict perimeter of confidentiality. This legal and ethical boundary is what builds the trust required for a counselor to handle the most sensitive details of a person's life. But that perimeter has specific, legally defined vulnerabilities. In a medical emergency, or when a counselor suspects child abuse or neglect, the law requires the counselor to bypass that barrier to ensure safety and fulfill mandated reporting obligations. Likewise, an imminent threat of physical harm to the client or someone else, or a highly specific qualifying court order, creates the legal authority to access the clinical record without destroying the broader privacy agreement. Because these exceptions are real, you should never make blanket promises that a client's information will never leave the room. Such assurances are inaccurate and can damage the therapeutic relationship when a legal exception applies. Informed consent requires the client to understand exactly where these limits lie before they share their deepest vulnerabilities. Clarity about the boundary is what actually makes the space safe. This boundary is maintained through the mechanics of documentation. Clinical records must be accurate, timely, and secure to protect both the client and the provider. Addiction treatment involves encountering messy human behavior. When writing a progress note, it is easy to lean on subjective interpretations, documenting assumptions that a client is angry, unmotivated, or in denial. Your role is to distill that behavior into objective facts. Instead of labeling a client as hostile, you document that they raised their voice or paced the room. You record the observation, not the inference. Once you have recorded those facts, you must keep them secure, using encrypted electronic systems or locked physical files. Every note should be written with the knowledge that it could be audited, subpoenaed, or read by the client. Stripping out subjective bias protects the client's legal standing and ensures your documentation remains a professional, credible record of care. Confidentiality becomes more complex as more people enter the room. In group counseling, you are bound by privacy rules, but you cannot legally guarantee how other group members will behave. You must address this limitation with the members at the outset. Family and couples work involves overlapping consent requirements. To share information lawfully among multiple parties, you must obtain specific written authorizations that define exactly what can be disclosed and to whom. Justice-involved clients and minors require particular care in identifying the legal privilege holder. Even when facing pressure from a probation officer or a parent, information only flows after the correct legal authorization is verified and documented. Before we examine the specific federal laws that govern these situations, take 4 seconds to actively recall the baseline rules for protecting health information. This formal authorization must be specific about what is shared, include a clear expiration date, and remain fully revocable by the client at any time. Even with that authorization in place, you are bound by the minimum necessary standard, disclosing only what is needed for the stated purpose. Furthermore, those who receive the information are strictly prohibited from redisclosing it without further consent. These laws, exceptions, and documentation standards are not separate rules. They integrate into one ethical framework. When applied correctly, they keep the treatment process purposeful, accountable, and legal. Mastering these boundaries ultimately protects vulnerable clients from devastating social and legal harm, fulfilling the core ethical promise of the therapeutic relationship.